Hello, friends. Welcome to another podcast and another episode. My name is Dr. Jason Wiggins, and this is your motivational Gen Z and Millennial Expert podcast. It is great to be here, and let's start out by getting our heads right. Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that half the things you spent your life learning could be done in seconds. Not because you became less talented, not because you stopped working hard, not because you lost your intelligence, but because technology learned how to do things faster. This is not science fiction. That's not 2050. That's happening right now, here, and today. And the people who understand what's happening today will have a completely different future than those who ignore it. Artificial intelligence, also known as AI, may become one of the most important technological developments in human history beyond the computer, beyond the television, the phone. Sorry, Alexander Graham Bell, you're not going to be able to say you had the greatest invention with the telephone. It's going to be now based off of AI. And it's not because it's smarter than people, not because it will replace humanity, but because it's changing how value is created. And whenever value changes, everything changes. So, as your motivational Gen Z and Millennial podcast, we focus on career development, motivation, and helping you get to the next level, which is really key. This gives us the opportunity to be valued and great and continue to move forward in a way that everybody understands how to be successful. To understand where we're going, we need to first understand what's already happening. Because the AI revolution did not start today. It didn't. It's not going to start tomorrow. It started yesterday. Most people just haven't realized it. AI is now reshaping work, how the value we created, and the opportunity. Every generation experiences a defining technological shift. Our grandparents, they experienced the industrialization. Our parents experienced computers and the internet. Our generation is experiencing artificial intelligence. The challenge is that when you're living through a revolution, it rarely feels like a revolution. It feels like small changes that are incorporated in a very slow period of time. Small improvements, small innovations, until one day the world looks completely different. Robots are now replacing humans all around the world. That will be the future, but it's not only the future, it's now. In California, there's McDonald's where the computers are running the whole entire McDonald's. There is nobody working there except maybe engineers for the computers. But other than that, it's robotic from the time they take your order to the time you drive up and you get your order. And it's everything is simultaneously done by AI robots. So imagine a world that will look like that. So that means we're going to have to lead different. We're going to have to learn how to tweak what we do. I want to demonstrate a good story that I recently read about the Kodak. The Kodak is the film. So it's a lesson about seeing the future. Kodak once dominated photography. For decades, they were the standard. Families trusted Kodak, professionals trusted Kodak. The brand seemed untouchable. What many people don't realize is that Kodak invented the digital camera. Think about that. They created the very technology that would eventually disrupt them and replace them. But leadership feared losing profits from film. So instead of fully embracing the future, they protected the past, which is where humanity cannot make that same mistake. We have to stop protecting the past and start protecting the future. However, competitors embraced the digital photography. Consumers' behaviors changed, technology advanced, and eventually Kodak filed for bankruptcy. The lesson, the danger isn't technology. The danger is failing to adapt to technology. Today, many people are responding to AI exactly as Kodak responded to digital photography. Lesson wasn't learned. Some are ignoring it, some are resisting it, some believe it will affect them. History suggests otherwise. The question isn't whether AI will impact your industry. The question is how and now and how quickly this will happen. The largest growth stock in the world right now is NVIDIA. NVIDIA has multiplied hundreds since its inception. But when it came out at pennies on the dollar in the stock market, nobody believed in it. Everybody thought it was pie in the sky thinking. But eventually, that pie in the sky thinking is now a revolution for what is helping driving AI robotics, and whatnot. Let's really kind of turn back time here. Imagine an accountant and how they had to do their job back in 1995. Success depended on gathering information, organizing data, and producing reports. Today, much of that process is completely automated, yet accountants still exist. In fact, many are more valuable than ever. I've known accountants that have done extremely well, and they've actually sold businesses and have done very well because accounting has taken a different level without automation and how they can do their business without extreme oversight. In fact, many are more valuable than ever. Why? Because the value shifted. They moved from gathering information to interpreting information, from reporting numbers to advising clients, from executing tasks to making decisions. That's the pattern of what we're seeing everywhere. AI isn't eliminating work. It's changing where humans create value. How do you create value and provide that baseline information that will take you to the next level? Automation. What drives automation? Artificial intelligence. The future belongs to people who stop asking, will AI replace me? And start asking, how can AI help me become more valuable? But work isn't the only thing changing. As technology becomes more powerful, human connection becomes more important. And that leads us to our next challenge. Why human relations and human relationships matter more than ever. One of the biggest misconceptions about technology is that it automatically brings people closer together. Sometimes it does, but in many cases, sometimes it creates distance. I'd like to share a story that happened during the pandemic. During the pandemic, millions of people transitioned to remote work. Companies expected productivity challenges. What surprised many leaders was something else: disconnection, loneliness, burnout. A young professional joined a global company remotely. She exceeded every performance metric. She delivered outstanding results. Yet during a review, she said, I feel invincible. I feel invisible. She wasn't struggling professionally. She was struggling relationally. She didn't know her colleagues. She didn't have mentors. She lacked belonging. So the deeper lesson is technology can increase your efficiency, but trust is still built between people. Opportunities still come through relationships. Leadership, no matter where you are and what you're leading, still requires connection. As AI handles more tasks, human relationships become a competitive advantage. The future workforce will remain and reward people who can build trust both digitally and in a physical environment. This means that as a leader, you have the opportunity to make a difference while utilizing these advanced tools to help you become more productive and have time to develop relationships. So AI, artificial intelligence, is only going to promote the ability to do your job better, which is why, as Gen Z and millennials and alphas and baby boomers and Generation X, we have the opportunity to continue that transition and transforming of technology to advance us. As opportunities become more digital, another major shift is happening. People are no longer waiting for opportunities. They're simply creating them. So the future belongs to creators, builders, and learners. The most of history opportunity was controlled by institutions, employers, governments, universities, large organizations. Today, an individual with a laptop can build influence, expertise, and opportunity from almost anywhere. I'd like to share a story about Sarah Blakely. Before Sarah Blakely became a billionaire with a B, she sold fax machines door to door. She had no fashion background, no investors, no connections. What she had was an idea, she had persistence, and she had the willingness to take ownership of her future. She created Spanx, 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 and became one of the most successful self-made entrepreneurs in the United States because she had a vision, she had an idea, she had a computer, she had that technology at her fingertips, and she didn't take no for an answer. But utilizing those tools, those AI tools to push her company with her perseverance, helped her become a successful billionaire. Now, I'd like to share a modern AI example. Today, a project manager can use AI to create educational content. An engineer can build software tools. A consultant can scale expertise. And a student can launch a business. AI is reducing barriers that once required massive amount of resources, so much money allotment, so much barriers to entry to not be able to do things. Now, everybody has an opportunity. If you have a vision, an idea, and a few resources, you can now move on to owning your own company. As technology becomes more capable, something surprising happens. Human skills become more valuable. So that is why leadership, communication, and emotional intelligence win. So just because artificial intelligence might be taking over a lot of manufacturing, a lot of those things, it doesn't take or replace human connection. So the more technology handles the routine tasks, the more valuable, uniquely human capabilities become. Satya Nadella became the CEO of Microsoft. The company needed more than technological innovation when she came on board. They needed a cultural transformation. Microsoft was rigid. They were stuck in their ways. Nadella focused on empathy. She focused on learning, collaboration, growth mindset. And with all this, what was the result? Microsoft became one of the world's most valuable companies. Yes, technological capabilities helped, but the main difference was the leadership, the human advantage. AI is great at analyzing information, but people build trust. AI can generate as much content as you feed them to regurgitate, but people inspire action. AI can identify patterns, but people create meaning. The distinction will define future success. That means human connection and the human advantage will ultimately play a huge part in the mission and vision and the success of an organization. Now, if these technological trends continue, what does the future actually look like? Well, let's start by doing this. Let's travel 50 years ahead. So take a nice long vacation with me and let's travel 50 years ahead. What is the world going to look like? The opportunities ahead, the challenges ahead. Imagine explaining today's world to somebody from 1925. 100 years ago, they would think we lived in science fiction. Why? We have video calls, instant communication, smartphones, global connectivity. Now imagine 2075. Transportation largely is autonomous. It's going to be you're going to be driving by yourself. Healthcare will be predictive. Everybody will know exactly how to do correctly procedures because a lot of it will be robotic. Education will be personalized. Every student has their own individual educator. Robotics are going to be supporting industries. AI integration will be in nearly every profession. Longer lifespans. People will be living a lot longer. There will be new industries we have not even yet to think about that we couldn't even imagine. Yet, the biggest challenge may not be technology. It may be purpose. Let's think about the purpose question for a moment. For thousands of years, work equaled survival. Survival equaled identity. Your identity equaled purpose. But what happens when technology reduces the need for traditional labor? It's a very honest question. What happens when productivity is no longer? Humanity may face a new question. What gives life meaning beyond work-related things, beyond spiritual-related things? What gives life meaning within the workforce? And that's going to be a question that's going to represent what AI means in the workplace and where you are able to have that human connectivity, that human touch that will be more difficult as we continue. And remember, no generation may face that challenge more directly than the children growing up today. Imagine growing up with AI everywhere. Future generations won't adopt AI, they'll inherit it. They will have never known a world without intelligent systems, without instant information, instant gratification, instant rewards, without digital assistance. I'd like to share a story that I once heard a while back about a professor at a university. He noticed students had unprecedented access to information, yet many struggled with a deeper analysis of what that information meant. They had it through reflection, patience. Information had increased, but the depth had not. And that was concerning to this professor because with all the tools available to really understand something, but not taking a deeper dive really was annoying for the fact that there's no reason with everything we have available at our fingertips, we can't dig deeper. The big lesson, knowledge can be accessed instantly. Wisdom still requires effort. And that's where that connectivity or that disconnect really is problematic. Wisdom requires effort. The persistence of getting the right answers takes time, it takes investigation, and sometimes just because we're told this is works, this is right, we have to dig deeper sometimes to really determine if it's right or not. That means knowledge can be accessed instantly. Wisdom still requires effort. Character still requires struggle. Growth still requires discomfort. And a lot of the students of today may never learn those lessons because it's so easy to get that information, which is why Gen Z and millennials, we have to take the future in our hands. We have to understand that growth still requires discomfort. Character still requires struggle. Wisdom still requires effort, and knowledge can always be accessed instantly. But what are we going to do with that information? Which brings us to the most important question of all. What should we do? How do we thrive? How to win in the age of AI? The blueprint for future success is here. If AI is changing everything, how do we prepare? And here's a couple of things that I've came up with. Principle 1, learn AI before you need it. Embrace it, take it, and try to find out how you can best utilize it. Many people ignore the internet until they couldn't. They ignored social media until business demanded it. They ignored digital skills until they became mandatory. Don't make the same mistake with AI. Experiment now while learning now and continue to practice now. Principle number 2, become a hybrid professional. The future isn't humans versus AI. It's humans with AI. The winners will combine the following: human judgment, human creativity, and human leadership. With anything that is related to technology, will make anything capable. You can imagine it, you can dream it, you can do it. Principle number 3, invest in human skills. Invest in the very same things we talked about earlier, the ability to connect with others, human connectivity, leadership, communication, empathy, adaptability, critical thinking. These become more valuable as technology advances because you have to take the time to understand and know these things to be able to impact others. Principle 4, build visible expertise. That means continue to research, understand, share ideas, teach others, document lessons, create value publicly. Again, it's about creating value, and that's what AI does. Visibility also creates opportunities. And last but not least, principle 5, stay adaptable. The future rewards people who evolve, but not once, repeatedly as they evolve. Because the most successful people of the next 50 years may not be the smartest. They may simply be the most adaptable. 50 years from now, people may look back as this era being one of the most important transformations in human history. The question is, will you be someone who watched it happen or someone who prepared for it? Because the future is something that happens to us. The future is something we create, and that creation begins with the choice we make today. I would like you to think about that in detail and think how AI will impact you, your life, your professional growth, and what are you going to do to stay ahead of it, embrace it, and grow with it, and make it a part of your strategy, your career blueprint to help take you to the next level. As a Gen Z, Millennial, Generation X, Baby Boomer, and especially Generation Alpha, it is your time to embrace and learn. And don't be that individual that gets passed by because you weren't willing to take that next step. I hope everybody enjoyed today's podcast. Please continue to share, like. We have a YouTube broadcast as well as being on all the major podcasts across podcast land, Spotify, Apple, whatever may be your favorite listening. So continue to listen, continue to share. And I want to thank everybody for continuing listenership because you are amazing. You are here. You are growing. And that's what we want in every single podcast is continued growth. So again, my name is Dr. Jason Wiggins, and I am your motivational Gen Z and Millennial Expert podcast focusing on your career, your motivation, and your overall blueprint. So thank you, take care, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Bye bye.